entrepreneur. Welcome to your Entrepreneur Resources show. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Venice, your host, and here at your Entrepreneur Resources, we discover the no-fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts in all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your Entrepreneur Resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It is Cherie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Cherie is the founder and creative director of Take One Daily Media, and she has over 10 plus years in the professional industry with a knack to tackle it all. She has a diverse creative business background that includes film, creative business, and marketing and design, and working domestically and internationally in different markets around the world. So in this interview, we're going to talk about how to juggle the obstacles of being an entrepreneur, finding the time for everything while creating a meaningful brand. I'm so excited to chat with you today, and I'd love to have you come and share your business and your journey with us first.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Cherie. I'm the founder of Take One Daily Media. We're a marketing agency based here in Los Angeles, California, in the United States. And I've been in the space for a very long time. And I have worked with different brands and agencies of all sizes. And I've worked with Fortune 500 companies for brands that you all know, like Nike and Apple. And today I work a lot and really focus on small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and women business-owned businesses. I also work with a lot of nonprofits and really kind of just focus in on diversity, inclusion, and how marketing and media can really kind of create that change in the media and really kind of drive home some of the messages that some of these organizations are trying to put out there.
That's amazing. So when you first started your entrepreneurial journey, you have such an incredible history and line of work with all these different clients. What do you think was the biggest struggle for you?
I think in my early years, it was really trying to even when I started, digital marketing was still just kind of being discovered, and so a lot of people still kind of honed in on traditional marketing, PR, and things like that. And I think that working with different brands in different sizes and also in different industries allowed me to really kind of understand, I think, how to be able to put them in a unique position, find their voice, and really kind of help them evolve. And I think that by working with different people and different industries offering different things also gives you a different perspective in how to storytell for them. And in a
Yeah,
sense,
that's
also
awesome.
as an entrepreneur too, you're also trying to figure out, what you like and who you like to work with. And so, obviously, when you're working with larger companies with bigger budgets, it is slightly different than working with the person that handles everything on their own. And I'm not saying that one is as equal as to the other. I think that there's challenges in both ways.
Absolutely. You talked about storytelling just now, and I know that your company focuses a lot on that. Why do you think it's such an important aspect of running your business or your brand message?
Yeah. So I think storytelling is extremely powerful. I think that we all connect with stories, whether it's you hearing something extremely, attaching and emotional with a Nike ad, or if it's your grandmother telling you a story. We all resonate with stories, and it's what brings out, I think, that emotion and connection. And so I am a strong believer that no matter what brand you have, whether you're small or you're large, whether you sell a service, whether you sell a product, everyone has a story, and delivering that story from a company perspective or even the founder's perspective on why they started that company really drives home on a personal brand level as well. And so storytelling for me is really value driven. And when you're able to really tell that story, you're going much more deep and much more rich than selling a pair of shoes or selling your marketing services. You are really kind of honing in on the true values that you have.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I think a lot of the time when it comes to like a personal brand, people know how to tell their story because it's about that one person, that solopreneur or that entrepreneur. But how do you think that a business should be able to tell their story? Like how would they be able to shape, like their journey and convey that through their brand message?
Mhm. So a lot of it kind of boils down to your why and your purpose of why you're there. Why is your business there? So, like I said, regardless if your product or your service, if you're selling a pair of shoes, why did you start in the first? Why did you start in the first place? What is the deeper message that you're trying to relay with your audience on why you sell those shoes? So it's being able to think of something simple. And I always use Nike as that, because with something like a pair of shoes or a piece of clothing, um, that goes so much far and beyond. It's like the stories of the people that put on the shoes or the people that put on the clothes, right? And that's really kind of what you're trying to really focus on, is what is the purpose that you have, and what are you giving to your audience. When you're selling something, or you're providing services, you also are providing solutions. And that's really something kind of to remember, is here is what I can offer you, and this is how I can help you. And that's the value that you're giving to them. And they sometimes people see it directly, and sometimes they don't. And there's a lot of people out there that have services and have products where their customer doesn't even know that they actually have a problem, until they're able to kind of connect with you and know your brand. And then kind of get that, like, that moment or that aha moment where, like, oh yeah, okay, now I know why I need this, or why this can be helpful for me, why it can make my life easier, um, all of those things. And really, in order for you to speak, um, on a more personal level, to what those values are and what that story is that you're trying to tell, is really making sure that you understand your customers. That is probably one of the most important things as well.
Yeah, I think that is so important. Finding that why and just connecting with it so you can let people in on, like exactly, even like what you said, like before people even know they have the problem, reaching that like pain point and being like, okay, so this is
Mhm.
what I can help you with. I think that's so powerful. I'm going to write that down and note it down in my notebook. That's amazing. When it comes to like coming back to the topic, when it comes to juggling all the obstacles of being an entrepreneur, I think one of the biggest ones that people would probably come across is finding their ideal audience, and finding that niche. What do you think is like the best way for them to find that audience and understanding how to approach the why and like tuning in with the brand message?
Mhm. So, I think one of the things that I most commonly see, especially from entrepreneurs, that are starting off, is finding who that right audience is, and also even understanding why that's so important. I think finding your audience is something that, you have to look at it from different levels. So everybody can be your audience, but not that's not necessarily who you want to target. And you want to do that because you want to be able to really kind of go in and say, I want to focus on millennials ages 25 to 30 that, are looking for their first home. Whatever that, like, you really want to go deep on that, because you want to be able to message and build your content around a lot of those things. And yes, at the end of the day, everybody could be your customer. Everybody could want to buy a house from you. But what they're doing is they're taking a step back and they're looking at what your approach is, right? And so when I'm really able to kind of go deep and talk, and it doesn't have to just be one, it can be a multiple, a multiple amount of people, but still very targeted. I'm able to offer that kind of personalization through my marketing and through my message, where I'm truly, truly able to help them solve their problems and really see it. And when I look at audiences and when I look at personas and things like that, I like to go real deep. I like to give that person a name. I like to give them a photo. I like to say, I like to even refer to them when I'm talking about the brand, like, are we talking to all the Johns out there in the world? If it was the name of my persona, because I like to treat um, target audience and personas as if they were also kind of like my best friend. I'm able to really, really know why they do what they do, what do they do for a living, how old are they, what is their family situation, what are they reading, are they on Instagram, are they on Twitter, are they not even socially savvy, maybe they're listening to podcasts. So everyone's going to be different, and I need to understand who that is in order for me to do that. And it also, going back to the topic, marketing, I think in general is overwhelming for a lot of people. And so sometimes when you're focused on these certain things, your brain is also not thinking, okay, I have to speak to this person, or I have to do this and I have to do that. And I think that if you're a bit more niche and you're targeted, you're also able to create a program that fits for that.
Absolutely. I think that's super important. It's such a powerful message that you just gave us. Such a value bomb. I love that. Besides like niching down and finding your target audience, what other obstacles do you think that most entrepreneurs would face when they're just starting out with their business?
Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and I mean, and I'm probably guilty of this myself. When I first started, is I wanted everything to be perfect. And what I realized is that it's never going to be perfect. And you have to make those mistakes in order to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what is good for you, and all of those kinds of things. And I think the part of entrepreneurship that I do see, even with my own clients, that struggle, is because they're afraid to take that initial step in order to, they're thinking too much, is it right or is it wrong, versus just put it out there, let people give you feedback, see what that feedback is. I'm one of the biggest advocates for getting feedback from the audience. I love surveys. I love customer research, because the more that I can get from you, the more feedback that I can get from you. If you tell me that you don't understand the messaging, or if I share something with you in 2 sentences and you don't understand, that helps me make my job better. And so I think with entrepreneurs, they're afraid that they just want everything to be perfect. And the reality is that you have to put stuff out there to test the waters. You have to do a lot of A and B testing. You have to see how your audience reacts. And I think if obviously, being careful and mindful and still protecting your brand, you're still able to do those things. And I think one of the things that's really beautiful about being on digital media is that people follow you on your journey. And so, the person that's followed you from the very beginning and watched you build, whatever it is, build a website, go into social campaigns, start doing whatever your journey is, they're going with you. And they're not judging you. They're rooting for you. And that's, I think, the thing that we have to remember, because there's so many people out there that are also very supportive.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like because there's so many social media channels, and I feel like maybe besides, like everything that you've just mentioned, it might be hard for the people to know what social media platform to focus on, especially when it comes to like market research. What do you think people should do when it comes to, like finding that one or few social media platforms to focus on?
Yeah, yeah. And I get this question often, do I need to be on Twitter? Do I need to be on Facebook? Do I need to be on everything? My answer really is it depends on what you can provide. If you are a one-person show, if you are a five-person team, um, it's going to be a different answer all the time. I also, I think I look at some of the features within some of these apps. So, for example, a common question that I have is I don't like to be in front of the camera. I'm not into doing reels. I don't do dances on TikTok, all of those kinds of things. And I think my response always is you have to put out content where you feel it's most comfortable for you. And in addition, you don't want to do anything where it comes off as not authentic or fake or anything like that. You want to be really true to yourself. And so if you are the face behind your brand, or you need to do some of those things, what is a way that is most comfortable for you? And so if it doesn't make sense for you to be on TikTok, if your audience is not on TikTok, then there's no reason for you to be on TikTok. Um, but if you're looking at all of those different things and why you should be on a channel, and also, can I produce the same value on Twitter that I can on Instagram, that I can on Facebook? And so I always tell people, if you really want to reserve the handle, then great, reserve the handle, but get really great and get really good at one platform. Find your rhythm, find your consistency, and then add another one if you need to. And and again, I think finding the ones that you really want to invest in. So maybe last year you were focused on Instagram, and maybe this year you've discovered the Clubhouse madness and you say you want to invest into Clubhouse this year because you want to see what it can do for your business. And I think there's a lot of different apps, and I bring up Clubhouse because it's definitely one of those. Is that if some people have problems being in front of the camera, Clubhouse might be a great alternative for you. So really just kind of figuring out how, and they're all different, right? Twitter is there for a reason. Instagram is there for a reason, and making sure that you utilize the different platforms that work for you.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I love that you brought up Clubhouse as well, because we just chatted about it earlier on before the interview. It is definitely such a powerful tool, way to connect with different people just through audio. You can be lying in bed in your pajamas. You can be connecting with someone like, that's like super influential in your industry. So that's really, really awesome. When it comes to like finding the right platform and everything, I think it also ties in with what you said before, the perfection, right? It's like you have to get through and don't expect to do anything like perfectly in the beginning or ever, really, because no one can really do anything perfectly, and just put yourself out there and choose that platform that works for you and your target audience. So I love what you said there. And also reserving your handle, that's so important, because you don't want to like have like 5 years down the line and realize you wanted to use Twitter and then realize that that's the only one that you don't have the handle on. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And I do want to also ask you, because you said that you are someone that has, like been out there and like juggle everything and like being able to tackle it all. What's like a tip or any kind of like action steps that you can share with us about how to tackle everything as someone? I know you have a team, but as someone that's just starting out, maybe like a solopreneur that has to do everything themselves.
Yeah, so I've been in this position several times. I've been in a position where I worked at an agency and I still did everything. I worked as, for myself, and did everything. And I think the beauty of entrepreneurship is that because you're forced to do those things, you're also able to kind of dive deep into some of these little departments. So like I hate accounting, but I had to do it at one point in my life. And being able to, I think that's one of the lucky things about entrepreneurship that you can discover is, you know, being a bit well-rounded. But one of the things that obviously entrepreneurship can bring is burnout. And so I think, again, this is something I learned over time. So it's definitely not something I thought of in the very beginning was I can't do it all. I can't do it all. it will be there the next day, for sure. But it was a matter of, I think for me, focus, so especially when you're juggling, that's putting up a website, then dealing with social media, and then trying to find clients and doing business development. And when your head is going in all different directions, um, there's a lot of times where you lose that momentum and you lose the focus. And so I think my tip is to try to focus in on on certain things during your day. So maybe if you can carve out, like, I'm a huge advocate for time blocking. For some reason, it just works for
Oh
me.
my gosh, me too. I'm sorry, but like preach. I love time blocking. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No. But if it's not, it's almost like if it's not in my calendar, then I can't do it. And so this allows me to, like, really keep home, especially when you can go down the rabbit hole of so many different things. If I have it in my calendar that I am going to do business development for 1 hour today and just work on, like, contracts or whatever it is that I need to do, no disruptions, don't look at email, don't look at social media, all of those kinds of things. I feel like I get way more done when I do that. And I think for me, that's really critical because I do have to have, like, my head in all different areas. And then also another thing too that I do want to bring up is that when you have a team, it doesn't necessarily mean that things get easier. um, because that is definitely one thing, is that when you have a team, you also then need to also be a leader. And and especially, if you're working with people that, I do have this kind of approach where I love to be able to reward people within. And so my goal is to always, bring people in that can grow with the company, that can really bring their skills in, find their own skills as well. Not be afraid to, share opinions. And so when I have that kind of approach as well, part of my agreement as a leader is to provide mentorship. And anybody knows that when you are doing that, it definitely takes some time. But I also find that my team is more appreciative. They are, they're dedicated, and they really also care about their work. And that's really what I want. Is I want a team that, again, I think when it's your own brand or it's your own company, you're going to think very differently of it than if you had an employee. But the hope is to obviously find people that can go along with you on your ride and your journey, and really be there to help your own clients, or, help increase sales, help increase growth, whatever it is they're doing, but allowing them, the space. And so I think, in regards to just overall time management, it's like, where do you need to put your focus on, and how do you equally split that up so you're not overwhelmed and you're not burnt out? And I do strongly, especially in this digital world that we live in, I always say, take an hour during the day and have lunch. It's like the only
I think
thing.
it's
It's
so
like
important.
it is. It is. It's just like it helps. It just helps. You can in sitting in front of your computer with your lunch does not count. You need to, like, put it away. And even if you can just do 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes, I feel like that's something that if you can at least promise that to yourself, then you won't have so much stress during your day.
For sure. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. Just coming back to time blocking, I'm actually very curious. Do you use, say, like Google Calendar, or do you use like a planner, like a physical
It's funny. I
planner
as
to
much
do
as I
that?
buy as much as I buy planners a lot, I always end up doing digital. So for me, it's just a Google Calendar.
Yeah, I think I also use Google Calendar, and it's so easy because you sync it up with like Zoom and like Calendly and all these like scheduling tools. So you'd be able to see exactly, like when do you have a meeting or when do you have like these things happening. So absolutely.
And that's another
And
thing too, is that's another thing though, is just like finding the right tools that help you, that make life easier. So, tools like Calendly is kind of like having a personal assistant. So if you can, I don't know, even forget what it costs per year, but like think of that as like, somebody working for you in theory. So if you can find the right
Yeah.
tools to make your job easier, then that's always the way to go.
I love that. So, time blocking, outsourcing, and also technology, finding the right tools to help you streamline your process. So, that is so cool. One last question before we wrap up. I do want to ask, when it comes to outsourcing, I know a lot of solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, they get very lost. They're like, okay, so I've been doing everything myself. If I were to outsource to like a VA or like even an intern, I worry that I'm going to end up spending so much time training them, and maybe they'll make mistakes. Maybe it won't be perfect. So what would you tell these people that think this way?
Yeah, and you do. I'm not gonna lie. You will spend time, like I said, mentoring and teaching them, especially if you are, it's something, especially if you're the type of person that's extremely particular. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be particular, but I think there also comes a fine line too of allowing someone to bring their own in, but also giving them some leadership and some space. And so when it comes to hiring and sourcing out, my best advice before you even do that is to make sure that you know what they're going to do and what they're going to be responsible for. A lot of the times when somebody has like a VA role, I actually don't have VA roles in my in with my team. I As long as I think that they know what they're responsible for, and at the same time, you know what you expect of them, rather than it just be, okay, this is what we're doing today, and then this is what we're doing tomorrow. Because a lot of the times, I think that productivity is low when that kind of happens, because a lot of times entrepreneurs are just overwhelmed in general, and they're like, I need help, but they don't necessarily know what they need help in. So if it's something that you can just kind of let go, like, I'm so overwhelmed with social media. I want someone to come in and help me with social media. Then allow them to help and come in and do social media. That's kind of my one thing, is that allowing, because you're allowing them that space, you also have to allow them the time to learn about your company, learn about you, the working relationship between you and that other person. And then, know that I think that whoever you're bringing in, that they feel that they're going to be a huge part of building your brand and building your company. Because even if it's just you and your VA, obviously your VA is a big part of your company. And really kind of allowing that space. But, it does take time, and I think that the more that you're able to carve that into your schedule, um, then the investment will be worth it. But there are a lot of times where people hire people and they're not ready to hire someone, and then they end up losing money. And so I always say, if you are going to bring someone in, you're going to outsource, just make sure that you understand like how many hours it truly is going to take, and how much, what you want them to do. And also, even, do you want this person to just be temporary, or do you want them to grow with the company? And if you do want them to grow with your company, what could the future look like for them, and what would their work path be? And I think a lot of it too is, when you're bringing someone on, you're also trying to figure out what they're great at, because there's times where I've brought people on and I thought that they would be good at this, but it actually ended up they were better at something else. And so those are the kinds of things to, and just being a leader and providing feedback, providing like thoughtful feedback, so that they can grow with you. They can really be invested into your brand.
Yeah. you've been building and growing for the past however long. And it's like literally it's like your infant baby that you're passing on to someone else, and it can be very scary. You don't know how that person's going to be like. Maybe they won't treat your baby as well as you do, but sometimes about like letting go a little bit and passing the task on. And I think what you just said is so important. If anybody's watching and
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard when you've done it all and then you have to pass it on to someone else.
Absolutely, yeah. If anybody missed any point, any of these tips that Cherie's dropping, all these value bombs, make sure to check out the blog that we have. We'll summarize everything so you can get all the tips right there. And I feel like I can talk to you for so much longer, but we have to wrap up. Where can everyone find out more about you and your company?
They can just go to my website, takeonedaily.media. It's funny because we are a marketing agency, so we're always the last person to update our own stuff because we're dealing with everyone else's. But you can also find me on Clubhouse as well. I do a couple of rooms a week there, and looking to grow that as well this year. So hopefully, being able to do more of that.
Yeah. What is your Clubhouse handle?
It's just my name, so it's at Cherie Marquez.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super, super grateful that you're here with us and share so many tips. Again, for those of you that are in the audience, we have our live interviews with experts twice a week. So make sure to stay tuned and join our community on Facebook. You can find all the links in the description box. We also actually started a speed networking room on Clubhouse. So the next one will be happening later this week. So make sure to stay tuned. Me at Venice. Come say hi and us. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And I'll see you soon. Have a great one. Thank you again, Cherie.
Thank you.